Hollow Ridge. A quiet, sun-bleached town in the heart of the Wild West. The kind of place where time moved slower than a rattler's breath, and everyone knew everyone and their horse. Life wasn't complicated. People worked hard, drank harder, and died with dust on their boots. The town had its problems, sure. But there was one man who always stood tall between peace and chaos. Sheriff Eli Graves. He was a gunslinger with a heart just tough enough not to break, and hands steady enough to stop trouble before it could even blink. Folks respected him. Some feared him. But all of them trusted him. He'd cleaned up Hollow Ridge years ago, chased out the bandits, the gamblers, the drifters who didn't know when to move on. And when it came to madness, well, there was only one bit of it left. Jericho, the town's official lunatic. He wandered the streets barefoot, beard full of tumbleweed, whispering things no one wanted to hear. Jericho talked about cracks in the sky and time slipping through holes, about faces being borrowed and buildings shifting at night. No one listened. No one cared. He was just part of the background, like creaky saloon doors and the sound of spurs on wood. And Eli, he kept an eye on him, sure, but he never took the old man seriously. Until the night of the wish. Eli had ridden out to Mirror Lake, a place quiet enough to make a man forget how long he'd been alive. The moonlight bounced gently off the still water. The frogs croaked lazily. It was peaceful, yes, but something else too, stagnant. He removed his hat, leaned back against a rock, and sighed. Something inside him stirred. A dull ache. A sense that life had become predictable. He chuckled softly and looked up at the sky. A shooting star tore across the heavens. Wish things were a bit different, he muttered. The wind shifted, just slightly. The lake rippled once. Then nothing. The next morning, things felt strange. Eli walked into Maureen's saloon like he did every morning. The usual smells of whiskey and burnt bacon greeted him. But his corner table, the one he always sat at, had only 2 chairs. It always had 3. Always. He asked Maureen about it, but she raised an eyebrow and told him there'd never been 3 chairs there. He laughed it off. Maybe he misremembered. The day after, outside the sheriff's office, the cactus was gone. Eli had watered that thing every Thursday for years. He asked his deputy, Quinn, about it. Quinn stared at him and said, You never had a cactus, Sheriff. You hate plants, remember? That night, Eli tossed and turned in his bed. Something in his bones was telling him, things are wrong. On the 3rd day, it was the clock tower. The bell rang 4 seconds late. No one noticed. But Eli did. He always did. The sound was off. Slower. Thicker. When he looked up at the face of the clock, the Roman numeral 4 had changed from E4 to EAI. That wasn't just strange, that was wrong. By the 4th day, Jenny, the baker's daughter, didn't look quite right. Eli waved to her as she walked by, like he always did. She smiled, but her smile didn't sit right on her face. Her freckles were gone. Her eyes were hazel instead of green. And her voice, lighter. By the end of the week, Jenny had become an entirely different woman. Still smiled the same. Still waved. But her face wasn't hers anymore. Eli began to question everything. On day 5, he opened the town map he'd had for 15 years. Something was off. Wash Creek curved differently. An old Miller's Ridge, gone completely. In its place was a place called Lantern Hollow. A place he'd never heard of. A place no one else found strange. Day 6. The cemetery. Eli went to visit his father's grave, but it wasn't there. Instead, he found a weather-worn tombstone with his own name on it. Sheriff Eli Graves. Faithful protector of Hollow Ridge. Date of death, 3 days from now. By the 7th day, he returned to Maureen's saloon just looking for answers, or comfort, or maybe to drink until the world made sense again. That's when he saw her, Rosie. She'd died years ago in a barn fire. But there she was, laughing, touching his arm, calling him Eli like nothing had changed. He stumbled out of the saloon in a cold sweat. On the 8th day, he stared at his reflection in Mirror Lake. His reflection blinked a second too late. That's when the fear truly set in. He knew something unnatural was happening. That night, Jericho found him. "You see it now, don't worry," the old man said, his voice low and trembling. Eli drew his revolver. "You know something. Speak." Jericho didn't move. "I was mayor. Once. In a version of this town. Before everything changed. Before the wish." Eli stared. "What wish?" Jericho looked up at the sky. "A shooting star. Just like you. I said I wanted life to be different. And now, it always is. Every time we sleep, we wake up in a different crack. A different version of Hollow Ridge. One with a missing church, or a longer river, or different people. The rest of them don't notice because they change with it. But us? We're still the same. Why? Because we wished. We stepped off the path. And now we don't belong to any version. We're leftovers. Ghosts." Eli stepped back. "There's got to be a way to fix it." Jericho shook his head. "You can't fix a broken mirror by staring at one shard. It'll keep shifting until you disappear." Eli tried to go back to town the next day. But it wasn't his town anymore. Deputy Quinn was the sheriff now. Jenny didn't know him. Maureen refused to serve him. Children screamed and ran. Posters called him the unknown drifter. Even the sheriff's office door was locked to him. He looked into a mirror on the wall and saw a stranger looking back. That night, Eli went to Mirror Lake. He sat where it all began. He didn't make a wish. He didn't speak. He just watched the water. And as the stars moved across the sky, and the town forgot his name, and his reflection slowly stopped moving, Sheriff Eli Graves faded from reality. The next morning, there were 2 chairs by the lake. But no one remembered who put them there. And Hollow Ridge? It continued on. Different. Forever changing. Trapped in a slow unraveling of reality. Be careful what you wish for beneath a falling star. Some wishes don't change your life. They erase it.